Today's episode is brought to you by Slater's 50/50 and Tua T Fitness. The Everything Sequel podcast contains explicit language. 'Cause we learned it from you, Dad. Hello and welcome to the Everything Sequel podcast, the Jaws edition. My name is Michael Shantz. I'm from the How Dare You Awards. With me, in Chula Vista, in the tent, Tom Stewart of Lonesome Whistle Productions. Say hi, Tom.
It's just Bluefish!
One of my favorite moments.
Me too, clearly.
Well, here we are. We're in the time of COVID. I am baking in the closet. You are baking in the tent. But we're going to be talking about the Jaws sequels. Today, we're talking about 1978's Jaws 2. Am I saying this right? Directed by Jeannot Szwarc. Does that sound right to you?
Yes, that does sound right to me. I'm glad you were the first of us to say that, because now I can blame you for getting it wrong. But this guy, this is one of our. It's a little bit of connective tissue to our previous podcast, because do you know which other franchise sequel he directed?
Indeed, I do. Supergirl.
Supergirl, yeah, he's the director of Supergirl. It's an interest. He's like an. I checked out his IMDb, and not only does he have Supergirl and also Santa Claus the movie to his name, but he did a lot of Universal Television, which was also Spielberg's apprenticeship in movie making and in directing. So I do wonder if by giving him this Jaws they were trying to float him as the new Spielberg, the new Wonder
Yeah,
Man.
I had actually another connection to the Superman series because he directed Somewhere in Time, which was sort of the movie they agreed to let Christopher Reeve make if he came back for one of the movies. I assume Superman 2 or Superman 3, I don't remember.
Wow.
But there was like some connective tissue there as well.
It's really interesting. And we're moving on from Superman to the Jaws sequels. They're both sequel trilogies.
Yeah.
And while the Superman sequel trilogy was always envisioned as a film series, and Superman, right from the comic books, has always been serial in nature.
Sure.
With these are extraneous sequels that do nothing but complicate the legacy of the original.
Right.
These were devised after the fact, and
to make money.
To make money.
Yeah.
On the other hand, one of the big points of contrast from the Superman franchise is that it's a genuine attempt to continue the story of the Brody family. In an albeit convoluted way, and only through the prism of shark attacks. But still, we have an idea. What Stallone
the tragedy that besets this poor family that follows this family around. I mean, it's astonishing, frankly.
But when Stallone talks about the Rocky sequels, it's like you really do feel there was this genuine attempt to continue the story, that he feels like he has more to say, and I think that's arguable of these films as well, despite their many and varying flaws.
Sure. Well, the reason I was so interested in doing Jaws is, full disclosure, the original Jaws is my all-time favorite movie.
Wow, I did not know that.
It is.
So you must have a really interesting perspective on these films.
Because
this is not what I thought we'd be disagreeing about, but I've always felt the original Jaws is a little bit overrated. I know that's
You're a monster.
I'm a monster.
You're
a
monster.
Listen. I'm not. There's a lot I like about Jaws. I have that general opinion about a lot of Spielberg movies. I think he peaks at Duel, and everything after that is like everything from the Sugarland Express onwards is a disappointment for me. So that's my own problem. But it's so
clearly
funny.
You should seek professional help.
But it's great. I didn't realize this is the case, but we are literally coming at this from opposite angles, because while I've never seen Jaws and Jaws 2 and Jaws 3D before preparing for this podcast, actually the first Jaws film I saw was Jaws: The Revenge, and I
Wow,
worked back
what a place
from
to
there.
start.
Yeah, this was the main event of a sleepover that I had as a kid. Was Jaws: The Revenge on TV.
Oh, did that mom hate her kid and all his friends? Like,
So we are without knowing that this is the case. We're coming at this literally from we're meeting in the middle.
Well.
You know, it's you know, it's fate. It's got to be fate.
Let's get into it. So, obviously, the first thing we're going to have to do in the Everything Sequel podcast when we start a new movie, we're going to rank them. So,
Yes.
Tom, how do you rank these movies? Would you like to go first? Would you like me to go first?
I'd like you to go first.
All right.
I'm.
I have to tell you, this was difficult for me.
Yeah, I agree.
It's hard to separate my mind from my heart.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, though, I am going 2, 3, 4. 2's the best, 3 is the middle, 4 abject horror.
Okay.
And you?
Well, as with you, you know, I like the victim of a shark attack. I was torn. But I'm gonna say a set of numbers which will not appear to make sense to anyone at this point.
I'm starting to get used to that.
Yeah, I know.
Based on one single podcast, I might add.
Well, there are two abiding principles of my feelings about what a sequel is and what a sequel should be that make me go 3, 4, 2.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
Okay.
I just threw an electromagnetic device into a shark's mouth.
You most certainly did. Like, so now we have to get into quickly. Our next segment is
Yes.
always going to be good, bad.
Uh-huh.
So,
Yes.
am I to understand that you're saying Jaws 3 good, Jaws 4 good, Jaws 2 bad, or where do you lie?
I'm gonna go Jaws 2 bad, Jaws 3 good, Jaws 4 bad.
All right.
But less bad than Jaws 2. No, is that right? Yes, less bad than Jaws 2.
You have 2 bads and a good.
I have 2 bads and a good.
Well, I got to tell you, I was so interested in having this conversation with you because I thought maybe we would fight over Jaws 3.
We will.
The reason the ranking was so difficult for me, and I'm trying to separate my mind from my heart, is most people that see Jaws 3D think this is a ridiculous movie, like
Yes.
a really bad movie.
Uh-huh.
I think Jaws 2 is a good movie. I know for a fact Jaws 4 is a bad movie.
Yes.
Is Jaws 3 a good movie? You know, some people's minds might want to say, oh yeah, that's a bad movie. But in my heart, is it a good movie? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. 1,000 times. Yes. I love this movie. This movie is a good movie just based solely on Lou Gossett Jr. This movie is a good movie based on a single line. You talking about some damn shark's mother. Like,
yeah.
this movie's fantastic. Obviously, we're not going to be getting to Jaws 3 or 4 in this particular podcast. We will be getting to them in the future. Look for those, please, listeners, on wherever you find your podcast today. It's all about Jaws 2, the Jeannot Zwark 1978 movie.
It almost sounds like Shark.
Yeah.
He's almost like John. Maybe they hired him because his name sounded like Shark. They thought he'll be able to direct this
He
movie.
should be able to do it, right? All right, let's get into it. This is a movie, 1978. This is 3 years after the original Jaws. As my understanding is, they had about a $20 million budget, but it cost about $30 million. Made $81 million in the U.S., $187 million worldwide. Tom,
Yeah.
you say this is a bad movie. Tell me why.
Well, the movie begins with divers circling the wreck of the Orca, which is the
Correct.
boat from the original movie, and taking posing in front of us, posing while they take photographs around.
Typical bro shots,
Yeah,
showing their muscles.
and if there's a better metaphor for what Jaws 2 does with the legacy of Jaws, I haven't found it. This is like a beat by beat reenactment of the original. They have the same characters with exactly the same character dynamics, exactly the same conflicts. Anyone who's not there, there's a kind of surrogate for them to remind us that they existed in the previous movie. We carry through the same themes. It really is, it's there's really nothing new here.
I
And
cannot disagree.
yeah,
You're right about that. And yet, for me, for some reason, it works. I don't know why it works. It just does. Maybe it's because we're upping the ante. Maybe because the
yeah.
shark gets burned. Maybe because, here's
We
one thing
have
I
we
want to
we
talk
have
about.
a disfigured shark. So
Yeah.
Hollywood's disabled villain trope extends also to wildlife.
So
Apparently,
on the point of you're talking about, the same dynamics, the
yeah,
same problems, the same characters, because we talked in the Superman podcast about bringing everybody back, and that's
right,
one thing this movie does do. But my
yes.
very first question about Jaws 2, which don't get me wrong, has plenty of problems, is why the fuck is that mayor still the mayor?
Well, this was
The kids are much older, so there must have been another election. Like this guy got reelected.
it was a yeah, and recently it was a popular meme to like spread the word about why it's important to vote in local elections. Was the example of the mayor in Jaws 2 is still the mayor after all, after what he does in the
Right.
first movie, which he repeats verbatim
Yeah.
in this movie with the help of a property developer. Um, and yeah, I mean that is there is a sort of sense of it's more important to bring everyone back and get everyone back in the right place.
Yeah, I love that the mayor says things like, "Don't press it this time, Martin."
And yeah, I
But
mean
Martin doesn't even say, "Hey, asshole, I
the
was right last time."
the only time I thought that this is kind of that his behavior is excusable is if like every week Brody comes into the town hall meeting and says there's a shark.
Yeah,
In
right.
which case it would be like,
If we
there would
had
be
backstory that like he was super paranoid, and every week for the past 6 years he's like, I think we got a shark.
yeah, and then I
It
could
would make
understand
sense then.
I could understand the fatigue there. So it's interesting because it's that it's been likened to this problem we have of like re-electing the same bullshit politicians again and again who repeat the same mistakes.
Right.
But I don't think that was the original intention. I think it really was about they thought,
Yeah, because there's another Jaws theme, or rather a Jaws meme about COVID, where it just has four boxes, and the shark is COVID, and I'll just cut to the joke. The mayor is Trump.
yeah,
you know, just ignoring.
yeah. It's So I don't think it's anything other than an attempt to recreate that chemistry of the original.
Hmm.
Uh, but it's not a particularly interesting choice. It's nice to see them back. It's nice to. I think of the whole cast, I'm really glad Roy Schneider came back. I think I'm probably happier
Oh,
about that
very
decision.
much against his will.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm happier about that decision than he clearly is. I think in the opening party scene, there's a kind of celebration going on, and I do wonder whether they wrote around his boredom in that scene, whether Roy Schneider was just going around sighing and looking bored, and they were like, "Okay, so we've got to make it that Brody is unhappy to be here, right? Because
Right?
otherwise,
Yeah, exactly.
otherwise, Roy Schneider looks like he doesn't want to be here as an actor." Um, and
Yeah,
he did, and
apparently him
he,
and apparently him and the director came to like fisticuffs on the set once and had to
Hmm.
be separated. That's how much they hated working together.
He does a marvelous job. I had that in
And
my
yet,
notes
yeah,
several
he's so
times.
good in it to me.
He
you
has
know?
2 or 3 scenes which are pure magic. His drunk scene is great.
All
Um,
his drunk scenes are great.
yeah.
You know.
So I think he has some nice stuff with his kids in this movie too.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think, and the acting is fine. I don't think the direction is particularly bad. Some of the suspenseful stuff, which kind of harkens back to the original, is done perfectly competently.
Yeah.
But even with my muted appreciation for Jaws, I can tell the difference between what Spielberg's doing and what Mr. Shark is doing.
Yeah, I mean, to be clear, it's clearly obvious this movie is not up to the Spielberg original, in no way, shape, or form. For me,
Mhm.
it's just one of those things of at the end of the movie, do you think to yourself, did I enjoy that? And anytime I watch Jaws 2, I'll always think, I enjoyed that.
Oh,
There's lots
okay.
of nonsense and stupidity and plenty of stupid shit, but I like that movie.
Yeah, I did not enjoy it, and while you're always gonna get in having the same people return and having like a competent director, you're always gonna get something that's mildly diverting, if not occasionally entertaining. The whole exercise is just one of futility for me. The changes that are there are so minor and so kind of mercenary, to use a nautical term. Um, I think that they're obviously trying to capitalize on the success of Jaws as a franchise. They're also trying to push it a little bit in the direction of a teen sex comedy at times.
That's one
And
of the parts I like. I like that we're
yeah,
not completely focused on the adults. Like I thought that was a good switch up.
and upping the gore factor. And
Oh,
and
big time.
to me the big when they go against the logic of the original, the things that everyone loved about the original movie, they really struggle. Compared to the shark of the original movie, the Jaws of the titular Jaws.
Yes.
That their titular Jaws was a shrinking violet compared to this shark. This
Right.
shark is everywhere. It's almost as if the studio gave a note saying, "Make sure you show more of the shark this time."
That was
Um,
his choice, actually. He thought there's
really,
no sense in hiding the shark because we've seen it from the first movie, so, we got to go on.
you are not
Um,
serious. But
I
that
am
way,
serious.
going. Oh my! I did not see that. I did not see that. But I cannot believe this man was put in charge of a Jaws movie when his
All right.
guiding
Well, we're just
principle.
getting into it,
Oh
ladies and
my
gentlemen.
God! Well,
Tom is
I've
apoplectic.
won this round.
We're going to be talking more about Jaws 2 when we come back right after this. Stay tuned. Look, people, we're living in strange times. We know that, don't we? Of course we do. People don't even know what to do with themselves. We're getting stir crazy. Well, get outside and get yourself some great food, I say. You need to go to Slater's 50/50 in Point Loma's Liberty Station. It's time to treat yourself to booze, to beer, to burgers, and more. They have their full menu, people. Their full menu, I say. How many restaurants do you know that are doing that? Most places are doing a quarter of their menu, probably. Some might be doing a half. Maybe a few have got 3/4 of a menu. But Slater's 50/50 has their full menu, including their signature 50/50 patty. It's half ground beef. It's half ground bacon. It's 100% delicious. What more could you possibly ask? Worried about social distancing? Well, it is in place, people. Tables are separated, and the staff will always be seen wearing masks. You're out of excuses. Get off your keister and come on down to Liberty Station's own Slater's 50/50. Indoor dining available, outdoor dining available. Bring the family, bring your dog. Come enjoy the normal again. Good day to you. I said good day. Does the coronavirus have you feeling oogie? Have you been sitting on your couch for weeks? Nay, have you been sitting on there for months? Well, it's time for you to get back in shape. Check out 2AT Fitness. You can find them on Instagram. You can find them on Facebook. 2AT Fitness was started by Tina Bernard. She is ready and raring to go to help you get back into the shape you want to get into. They've got all kinds of classes. They've got outdoor in-person classes. They've got online classes if that's what you prefer. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to get back in shape. You're going to find a variety of exercises. You're going to have strength training, cardio, weightlifting, even fun 5-minute burnouts that will push you to your limits. So get off the couch, get into shape. Go ahead and check out 2AT Fitness. Tina Bernard has got you for all your needs. I know her personally. She's fantastic. You're not going to meet a better person to help you become the new you. Check it out. And we're back. So, we just got done having Tom lament about these mistakes of our director, Jeannot. Let's get into the real meat of this movie. The interesting thing to be about this movie, Tom, is the sequel, Jaws: The Revenge, is all about this shark taking revenge on the Brody family,
Yes.
and the train tracks to that are laid down in Jaws 2.
I agree.
The idea of seeing this orca at the beginning of the movie, this killer whale washes up on shore, and he's thinking, if one shark was attacked, would another shark? And the biologist says sharks don't take things personally, Mr. Brody.
Exactly.
Of course, not until Jaws 4.
I had exactly the same note, and I think there's many things we can say about Jaws 4, but the idea that is this huge left turn in the series is kind of dispelled by even having this conversation in Jaws 2. Even contemplating the idea that this shark is out for revenge is
right.
We'll get into Jaws 3D in the next episode, and I think even in that, we're establishing this idea that these sharks they have a psycho inner life.
Yeah, they have a sixth sense for the Brody family for sure.
So it's not.
But also, you know what I want to talk about too is not only do these sharks seem to be taking it personally against the Brody family, but you know what else I noticed watching all the sequels? These sharks really seem to hate transportation.
Yes.
The number of transportation vehicles, like in Jaws 2, this shark attacks like 8 different boats and a helicopter.
Yeah.
This shark is taking no guff from motorized vehicles of any kind.
That's absolutely right. It is, I guess one of the slight differences from the original, which I'll concede sort of works, is this kind of lifeboat idea, this kind of Lord of the Flies, kids trapped on a boat. This is a sort of it's going in a slightly different direction, of course, until Roy Scheider kind of
comes to save the day
on a boat.
Once again, also in these movies, there's the setup. There's always a reference to what's going to kill the shark early in the movie.
You're talking about the underwater wire?
Yeah.
The power cable? Yeah, absolutely, which is a shame.
And they do it in each of the movies.
Yes, they do.
From the original through the end.
And we talked about this in Superman 3 with the acid, which,
I wonder if I'll see that again.
And I was actually duped in that moment to just thinking it was a lovely kind of fake out bit of bathos that is kind of similar to a lot of what they do in the original, where you think you're going to see the shark and you don't. But of course, this movie, every time you think whatever you're gonna see is gonna turn out to be nothing, it's something. It's something.
Yeah, right.
There's an amazing, a really well done sequence where Roy Scheider walks out into the ocean, as he sees some kind of driftwood.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite moments.
Yeah.
It's a good scare.
It's a very good scare, and he finds rotting corpses. And I sort of think, well, that sequence would have been even better if we built up all this suspense and it was just like a dinghy or something, something really innocuous. Right. But that is not what. Clearly, the director's philosophy was, we want this shark to be going around like an Alfred Hitchcock cameo for the entire movie, just like here I am.
Well,
Hi guys.
and the malevolence of this shark is so great, such that this shark can explode a boat and light people on fire.
Yeah, and
this shark could do some damage, brother.
they want to. You've already said it. I think they want to up the ante. They want to take and it is literally like. We'll do the thing from the first movie, like we want to see the shark on fire, and then we'll take it one step further and we'll add in an explosion. We'll have steam coming out of its eyes. That kind of it's like a.
I think that was probably a happy accident.
It was sort of a yes and kind of
yeah. There you go.
To filmmaking. Yes, and steam comes out of its eyes. Yes, and the shark is disfigured. It's so I'm all believe me, I wanted this film to do something different with the idea, but every time it does, it's so kind of trite the way it tries to up the ante, and so blatantly saying, you remember this? Well, now we're gonna add this. That it just I find it really
like
off-putting.
I said, you're not wrong about that, but I suppose it's the degree to which it bothers you. One of the things I like about this movie are there's like little touches in it. I love that Brody comes home one night and he's feeling pretty shitty because he just got fired and he's drunk.
Yeah.
And, you see the barrels from the original movie.
Right.
Sitting on his porch as planters, that kind of thing.
That is a nice touch, and it's
like a fully realized, understanding that it feels like the Brody's life is fully lived.
They do everything, but and this is not true of the movies that will follow. They do everything but show footage of the first movie. Like they're trying to find this way to show you things that you want to see that were in the first movie, like the wreck of the Orca. There's a scene where he's in the photograph lab and he's developing the photos of the wreck of the Orca, and it's like this is just a way around not having to like have a flashback to the first movie. This is like,
yeah.
And then the planters. So they're still thinking.
He calls Hooper. He tries to get a hold of Hooper, but he's gone. Those little things I like.
There's a moment very early on where Roy Scheider points to a sailor, a kind of maritime type, an old grizzly maritime type, and says the old man in the sea, and it's obviously trying to make you think of Robert Shaw. But that's the last we see of that guy.
Take the old man in the sea with you.
Yeah. So it's it's slim pickings. Although there are some big breakthroughs in this movie. It's the first screen appearance of Napoleon Dynamite.
Is it?
Yes, indeed, absolutely. You remember that kid who looks exactly like Napoleon Dynamite?
I think you just mean he looks exactly like him, right?
Yeah, no, I mean identical. And the kid
you were scaring me. I thought you meant like a baby in the movie was actually him.
And the kid that he's hanging around with, these are the two nerd characters, which is where the kind of teen
Doug,
teen
his
sex
name's
comedy comes
and it's
into
Keith
it.
Gordon, who goes on to Back to School and Christine,
Right.
and is now a director, directs Horrible Boss movies, and
that's pretty remarkable.
yeah.
And the kitty.
But I love that sort of subplot. Poor nerds.
Yes.
Storyline that pops in for 30 seconds, maybe once every 45 to 60 minutes.
Exactly. and the kid he's with is looks alarmingly like a young Steven Spielberg. Have you ever seen pictures of it? So I do wonder whether they're trying to sort of throw in these little
in
nods
addition, there's
to the fact that Spielberg, is not around anymore. But remember when he directed this great movie that this is not.
Yeah, and obviously they're trying to get the teenagers in to the movie theaters.
Mm-hmm.
The story's solely focused in the second half on the plight of the teenagers. You got Donna Wilkes in there as the what is it, cousin from out of town that all the guys are enamored with. Sharp listeners might remember her from the Angel movie
Yeah.
High school honor student by day and Hollywood hooker by night, where she starts killing people if memory serves.
Yeah, and
Um,
it's
I'll tell you one thing about her character though. She is not good in an emergency.
no. It's
Her motto is full panic at all times. That's the way I'm coming out.
I have absolutely no opinion on this as good or bad, but they are trying to recreate because the first movie, as I understand it, and it's your favorite movie. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Is about the generation gap between three separate generations.
Yeah,
The baby
for sure.
the baby boomers, the hippies, and the greatest generation. Like
Yeah.
they're all on that boat at the end. I mean, lots of people
Right.
have made this observation that you've got these three different American generations, like all trying to survive together on the same
Mm-hmm.
boat. You know, as a metaphor for America. And this film does the same thing. Like thematically, you know, we have the baby boomers. You know, that they become the senior partners of this, of this
Right.
triangle. You've got the Gen Xers represented by Mike and his waster teen friends.
Yeah, one of my favorite parts of Mike is when, Brody finally finds him, and he's like, "Are you okay?" And he says, he tells him that Sean was with him.
Yeah.
He goes, "Sean's out there." He goes, "What?"
Yeah,
And he says,
I
"He wanted to come. It's okay, isn't it?"
it's a
It's
lovely.
the most ridiculous question.
But it's a great turn, and Shida plays that so well. That sort of loving father too. What the kid would you left the kid that we like out there to die?
Right.
And
You
then
could even argue that we go back generations by having Abraham Lincoln try to save them in a helicopter at one point.
yeah, that's
And actually, that particular scene it's kind of a disappointment to me in the original film because I didn't see it originally in the theaters. My parents wouldn't take me to that movie
Interesting.
at that age. I must have been 6 or 7. But on the TV run of the movie, there's an extra scene in there where the shark attacks the helicopter pilot underwater and also hits a jellyfish on his way to attacking him. And it's just one of those
And then-
things where I think that's magnificent.
And then he
He's just a
puts-
jellyfish in his way. He just goes right through it and then eats a helicopter pilot.
and then he gets caught in a lobster trap, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
a dolphin starts raping him. It's like
Well, now we're
well,
We're starting
and the final, what they add on, which again, I don't have any opinion either way about this. Sean, and I don't know what Sean's generation is referred to. I will refer to them as the Watergate babies, because this kid is born lying to his parents.
oh yeah.
When he's finally discovered by Roy Scheider, he says, they told he blames Mike for saying he had to come. I'm like, this is a sour note to end the film on. I think, but basically, it's like saying, okay,
It's certainly a clear view into the dynamics of that family.
yeah, it's like you thought the last generation was a bunch of losers. Well, these kids are just gonna spend the next 20, 30 years lying to people about what's real in the world, which is exactly what happens.
Which is what happens.
So this, I'm glad, this, I don't know, I'm glad. It's, you can see that they're trying to do the same thing thematically as they did in the first film with each,
Right, for sure.
yeah.
So let me ask you this, because we're coming to the end of it. For me, for my money, Jaws 2, one of the reasons I listed above Jaws 3 is I think it has, for the sequels, the best shark death scene. I think it looks the best. I think it's directed the best. I think it looks the best. The kids are all being attacked. It happens over and over and over again. And then Roy Scheider comes to save the day. We got the electrical wire and the electrocution.
Yes.
Am I right about this or am I wrong? Where do you stand?
I think it's a perfectly good sequence. I have no issue with the way that the suspense and the action is directed in this movie. I think it's done like perfectly well. What kind of undermines it a little bit? I have a problem with the ending of the movie rather than that sequence. I think the first of all the credits.
You mean referring back to his kid and?
No, the credits roll as the film is in progress, which
okay.
which is never a good sign that this movie's been thought through. We don't get this. No one gets their comeuppance. He doesn't get to go back to Amity and stick it to the people who've wronged him before. I mean,
Right.
based on history, they would just make all the same mistakes all over again, regardless of how
For
many
sure.
sharks come in. But still, I wanted that scene, especially because this.
There are lingering questions. Does he get his
Yeah.
job back?
I think what it would have been a stronger ending, given how things would go, is that actually we see Brody succumb to a shark attack for good, because they have to kill him off in later movie in a very we'll talk about it later,
Strange way.
very strange way.
When they talk about
Yeah.
it, it's hilarious.
And I think it would have been nice for him to have had some kind of. I mean, my reference point for. We're never going to have to do these movies because all my examples come from here. But in the Planet of the Apes, the first Planet of the Apes sequel, Charlton Heston had it in his contract that he had to be killed because he didn't want to do
Right,
another
yeah.
movie. And I think Roy Schneider was doing this as a contractual obligation.
It's the only reason he did it.
Yeah. So, it would.
And he had to do 2 more movies, I think, for Universal, and they said if you do Jaws 2, we'll let you out
Right,
of the contract.
Exactly. So it would have been nice if they'd have done him a favor and given him a great death scene. I mean, they don't have to blow up the world as in Beneath the Planet of the Apes, but it would have been nice to see him succumb to that, saving his children, and or going back to Amity and sticking it to the man. Maybe then he has his heart attack. I don't know. Because he drinks.
He has earned his comeuppance.
Because he drinks and smokes a lot within the course of the movie. So if he keeled over and had a heart attack, it would play perfectly with what has happened previously in the movie. He has 3 cigarettes just with coffee.
Right. At all times.
Yeah. So I think the end of the movie is a debacle. But yeah, I think I would agree with you. One of the highlights of this movie is that when you have an action sequence, actually my favorite I think is the Harbor Patrol helicopter landing. And they do such a beautiful job of like, I'm getting out of the helicopter, and it goes on for so long. You're like, oh well, maybe the shark won't come, and then the shark comes. So there's some really nice timing going on there. So yeah, it's a good workman-like job on everything. But
and yet you still say bad movie.
Well, yeah, because I don't want sequels to be workman-like. I want them to be batshit crazy.
Well, we're going to be talking about that in the future days. The next episode, we're talking Jaws 3D. After that, we're talking Jaws 4. You're going to get plenty of that in the next sequels. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for Jaws 2. Let us know what you think. Tom says it's a bad movie. I say it's a good movie. Let us know who you think is right, and we're going to see you next time. Thanks for listening. Be good.